Rising crime in Richmond now, and I'm talking about repeat crime, public safety and street disorder, and problems with the supportive housing project in a neighborhood where they've seen increased public drug use and crime as a result. Got Sheldon Starrett standing by. He's with the group Keep Richmond Safe, and he has a first-hand story to tell about some of the street disorder and crime that he and his neighbors are experiencing in Richmond. Neighborhood watch groups are keeping a sharp lookout for property crime in these Richmond neighborhoods. They see burglars going through cars, breaking into homes, and they say the same offenders often commit the same crime over and over and over again. We need to fix our catch and release justice system. Have a listen to this report. Global News reporter Grace Key.
More video posted by neighbors of Richmond show another man peering into cars around Mother's Day in the downtown core. RCMP confirmed the video is part of their investigation into Joseph David Michael Landry. He's been charged with 14 offenses, including theft, mischief, and breaching court orders.
How can someone that's a serial, habitual, repeat offender be out on the streets still going around and breaking into other cars and stealing people's property?
Yeah, you see the same people, the same offenders over and over and over again, not only in this neighborhood, but in many others around Metro, too. Let's discuss with my guest now, Sheldon Starrett. Sheldon is with the group Keep Richmond Safe. You heard his voice there at the end of that report. Sheldon, thanks a lot for coming on today.
Oh, good morning, Mike. Thank you for having me on. And there's so much to get into on this issue. I just heard the SRO on Granville, the Howard Johnson Hotel. The guy, the Michael Landry that was just cited in that previous case, he was a resident, I don't know if he still is, at the Howard Johnson Temporary Supportive Housing. And a Vancouver's Awesome article from 2022 cites at that time that Michael Landry had over 115 criminal convictions at that time.
I mean, it's just astonishing when you hear some of the stats associated with some of these repeat offenders. But Sheldon, first, let's start with what happened to you. Okay, so you live in the neighborhood here. You and your neighbors are keeping a close watch out for any of this type of crime that's going on in the hood. And I know there's a lot of video cameras that captures a lot of stuff, including something that happened to you. It was all captured on video that someone came up to you and tried to rob you, right? Tell me what happened.
Yes. So the man in question, he was seen going around other condos like the night before, in the hours preceding that, and someone saw him in the neighborhood because some of the condo groups are all part of different watch groups, and they all share photos of security incidents with each other. And so I went downstairs to check and see if this was the person because the RCMP was looking for that man. So as I was walking back, he came running up from behind me, saying, "Give me your phone," and I put it in my pocket. And I know he tried to grab my hand to try to grab it, but some other neighbors that were also out happened to see it and told him to stop. And then he backed off, and then started shouting racist vitriol at them to go back home to China. So I wasn't too worried at the time. I just tried to de-escalate these things from when they do happen. But there are people coming and going to the TMH on Alderbridge. Sometimes they're residents there, sometimes they're guests there, and they are high on drugs. And I feel more worried for the woman in my neighborhood because there was one neighbor of mine who said that he came over and pulled his pants down and exposed himself to her, the same person. And we've told her, did she follow up with the RCMP on that? And yeah, some people in this neighborhood don't feel safe. I mean, I'm a big guy. So, I mean, I can look out for myself, but if you have mothers, children in the neighborhood, I can understand. They feel more worried about that site.
Yeah, I think it's a great point, and I encourage the listeners to check out the reporting by Grace Key on this story on the Global News website, and you'll see the video of Sheldon outside his condo, and he's accosted by this guy, tries to take his cell phone. But like you said, you're a big guy, and it sounded like as soon as you kind of resisted and someone else told him back, he backed off right away. But if you're like a smaller, an older person, A woman walking alone in this neighborhood. I think this is a different story. So how long have... Go ahead.
And this guy does have a criminal history. We were able to identify his name as Marlon Garvin Evans, and on the CSO BC page, he has pending charges actually for this morning for assault and willfully resisting and obstructing a peace officer. He has previous convictions for assaulting a police officer and other assault, theft under 5,000, trespassing at night, mischief. It goes on and on. These are repeat offenders that keep getting released and keep doing these same things over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, this is the story we continue to hear, this sort of rinse and repeat system where we have a catch and release system. Someone's arrested for a crime. Maybe they do some time, maybe likely not. And then they're just back out in the street to commit the same crimes over and over again. Often it's mental illness is related. Drug addiction is related to it. I mean, how long have you lived in Richmond? How long have you been living in this neighborhood?
I've lived in this neighborhood for 5 years, so I came here. This site was already up, but my strata president, Clifton, he's been here since this building was built in 2008, and he said these crime problems, these drug problems, were not here prior to the temporary supportive housing going up around 2019. And the residents were concerned about it. City council said there would be no problem. And then when they extended it, they were denying that all this was happening. So that's when we decided, okay, we're going to start taking video when we see things because our own elected politicians are not listening to us. And they're denying it's going on. Ravi Callan has a cookie cutter response saying, we have cameras, video cameras, secure doors, all of that. That's all fine and dandy. But it's not actually addressing the problems that are happening. And some of these people, they need treatment or they need jail time.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this housing project you referenced there. So this is a supportive housing project. Is this the one on Alderbridge?
Yeah, this is on Alderbridge and Elmbridge, just at the corner, across the street from where I live. And it went in 2018. Well, 2018 is when council voted for it. There was opposition at the time. At the time, I wasn't even opposed to it. I thought, okay, these people need a place to live. This is a good thing. And I moved here around 2020, and I mean, you come out of your building and people are doing crystal meth outside there, and you see a father with his kids walking out. Obviously, you don't want to see like little children seeing that behavior going on all the time, and it dies down in the winter because it gets cold, but it always picks back up in the spring and summer, and so we do find it's a bit more seasonal. But we don't know what the metrics of success are for this temporary modular housing. They say they want to get people in there, get them out into other housing, but there's a huge wait list for other housing.
Like it's supposed to be temporary. It's supposed to be temporary housing, right?
Yes, it's supposed to be temporary, but most of the people that have been there, some of the same people. There hasn't been any metrics of how many people have successfully gone through and transitioned out. There's 45 residents there. 40 of them have drug addictions. Only 5 of them don't do drugs. And the 5 of them that don't do drugs don't want to be there because they feel unsafe being housed with people that are high on drugs, or possibly maybe they're drug dealers that come around and visit them and stuff like that. So it's an untenable situation.
Okay, there's been lots of complaints from people in the neighborhood since this facility was put in. And I'm taking a look at a statement that was put out by Ravi Callan, the housing minister, that you referenced, Sheldon, and I'm looking at it right now. So he wrote, quote, ongoing safety measures at Alderbridge, this is the facility we're talking about, include 24/7 staffing with 2 or more employees on site at all times, well-lit and fenced grounds, and extensive camera monitoring and controlled entrances. So if there's staff there 24/7, like if people are doing drugs just outside, right outside, or do the staff not respond to that?
I don't think they respond to much, because there's also been cases where they have stolen scooters and bicycles that have been stolen from other people coming and going from that site. One of the videos on the group Neighbours of Richmond, who my group Keep Richmond Safe works with Neighbours of Richmond, but on their Instagram page, there's one video where a couple had their scooter stolen from outside their business over on Minoru, and they were driving around and saw their scooter outside there and got out. and then they became a shouting match between them and some of the residents there. But the police did arrest the man, and they did recover their scooter to return the scooter to the owners. But when they were bringing out scooters, some of the drug addicts were bringing out other scooters too. So it's like, well, are those other ones stolen? And they're like, oh, pick whichever one is yours. It's like the staff at these sites, there's no oversight, there's no accountability. There's even probably no oversight of the spending and money being utilized in these things. There's been multiple fires in that building as well, and I've seen CanStar reparations there to restorations there to restore. But there was a couple fires that were started by the same person getting high on drugs, passing out, leading to fire and water damage. Very similar to what's going on at the Howard Johnson in Vancouver. And Ravi tries to dismiss and say it's not these populations. These happen, like in Howard Johnson, this happens in old buildings. It's not because of the drug addicts. He complains when Kitsilano Coalition doesn't want it in Kitsilano because of the problems, and he tries to say it's, oh, rich people don't like this. We think people do need housing and supportive housing, but it needs to be drug-free and crime-free. The people that do crime maybe need to be held accountable, and the people that have drugs need detox and treatment.
All right, talking about rising crime in Richmond with my guest Sheldon Starrett. He's with the group Keep Richmond Safe. He was the victim of an attempted robbery himself recently on the streets of Richmond, talking about some of the problems in the neighborhood, especially around a supportive housing project that's been put in there. If you have seen more crime, public drug use, mental illness on the streets where you live or work, can you please call me and let me know? 604-280-9898 is the number, 604-280-9898, star 9898 on your cell. Sheldon, you mentioned that the residents in this neighborhood are very proactive on this and keeping a neighborhood watch system going, posting photos of people when they see someone looking into cars or acting suspiciously, breaking into apartments. Have you found that a lot of the residents and neighbors have come together here to fight back against crime?
Yeah, a lot of neighbors in the area have done that. Some of the condos have also had to hire security, which costs them about another like $90,000 a year to hire security guards. So yeah, we've all had to come together just to, especially when we first went to city council originally and were telling them about this, and we had heard from like city managers that were just outright denying that this was happening. So when we've shared in these groups, these neighborhood watch groups, that it's best to, if you see something, take a video of it, call the RCMP too, get a police file number. We've been doing that quite a bit lately too, just so that the RCMP can build cases. The RCMP is aware of these people, but sometimes they don't have enough evidence. They need to gather more.
Let's go to the phone lines. Clifton calling from Richmond. Hi, Clifton. Go ahead.
Yeah, my understanding is you guys are talking about the temporary modular home in Richmond on Alderbridge Way.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I've lived in a condo just across the street from that modular home since 2010. So 9 years before it was put up in 2019. I've seen the area for 9 years before it was put up until now, and the change is remarkable. It's just night and day. You guys are talking about crime in Richmond. Well, the source of a lot of crime, at least in our neighborhood, is the modular home. Since it's been put up, there has been open drug use on our condo private properties. The residents of that modular home, as well as their friends, have been trying, and they succeeded in getting into various condos around the neighborhood that surround that modular home, either through forced entry or following people in. Okay, They steal packages. They steal bikes that are locked up. Multiple condos and businesses have had to pay so much money just to kind of deter some of these events. And it doesn't stop them.
Thank you, Clifton, for sharing that. And that's certainly reflective of the picture you were painting as well in the same neighborhood, Sheldon. And so we got 30 seconds left here. What do you want to see done?
What I think needs to be done is that the TMH sites need to end in Richmond, in Vancouver. BC Housing needs to do a complete remodel of the system. People with drug addictions, get them into detox, secure treatment, maybe reopen Riverview, and then offer all BC housing as drug-free and clamp down, make sure there are rules so people are not committing crimes and being bad neighbors. I think BC Housing and the health authorities need to work together on fixing the system.
Okay. Thank you, Sheldon, for coming on to talk about the situation in the hood. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.